Good afternoon. My name is Susan Oberman. I work in the Environmental Resource Department, and I typically work on our environmental impact surveys and wetland mitigation projects. I'm going to talk to you today to introduce a proposal intended to boost the Resource Department's contributions to the bottom line. As we all know, and as was pointed out at last quarter's meeting, the Resource Department has been falling short of our financial goals. Much of this underperformance is attributed to competition with our other firms in the area. I would like to share with you today a way to achieve a competitive advantage over these other firms by improving the services which we offer our clients. As you may know, the Resource Department is responsible for wetland services, which tend to bring in a lot of money, but only if we can win more contracts over our competitors. Even a modest increase in the number of wetland service contracts in a given year would significantly improve Resource's contributions to the company's bottom line. Offering a better service and more savings to our clients is the best way to win more contracts. So how should we go about achieving that? Well, first, we should take a closer look at what exactly our wetland services are. When one of our clients is going to do a project which is likely to impact a wetland or wetlands, the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, states that they are held responsible for offsetting those damages. They do this by creating or restoring other wetlands in the same watershed, or rather, they pay us to do it for them. For instance, if the Department of Transportation is going to rebuild a bridge that isn't up to safety standards, but doing so is likely to impact 2.5 acres of forested wetland around that bridge, then the DOT is federally required to either restore 2.5 acres of degraded forested wetland in the same watershed, or create 2.5 acres of forested wetland out of some other degraded piece of habitat. When our company gets a wetland services contract, we perform the initial assessment, which is the piece that says a project is likely to impact 2.5 acres of forested wetland or 7.8 acres of emergent wetland, or whatever other impacts may be associated with the project. We find a site that is suitable for the restoration project. Our architects and engineers say what changes are necessary to make the area function like an ecologically successful wetland. We see to the construction or the restoration itself, and then we monitor the site for 5 years, which is a federal requirement to make sure that the wetland is successful. There's a lot involved in this process, and that's why just one contract makes a noticeable dent in our financial goals. The wetland mitigation process, as we currently perform it, is pretty streamlined. There is one significant problem, however, and it's a problem that every other firm has, and that's forested wetland designs have a high rate of failure over other types of wetlands, like emergent or scrub shrub. The higher rate of failure is attributed to a low survival rate for tree seedlings, which are planted during the construction phase, and a low recruitment rate for naturally germinated trees. When a forested site fails, the client's costs increase significantly because they end up having to pay for more tree seedlings to be planted, or another 3 years worth of monitoring, and in the worst cases, they might have to pay to reconstruct the area or even start over in a different location. I have performed a preliminary client needs assessment, which you see behind me, which evaluates the baseline situation, identifies priorities for improvement, and proposes the desired outcomes for the project. If HDR is able to find a way to improve the success rate for forested wetland services, I believe we would have our competitive advantage, which is so needed for us to win more contracts. Not only that, but improvements to the forested wetland restoration process will ensure that the ecologically valuable habitat and its associated ecosystem services are being introduced to the impacted watersheds within a more reasonable time frame. It is clear that there is a need for improving the success rate of forested wetland projects. The results of the client needs assessment indicate the following priorities for action. We will establish a small team of professionals from different departments within the company, which will work together to develop prototype improvements. They will compile data from past mitigation projects, examining client costs, tree seedling mortality, and success and failure rates for established methods. Here, we have a plan for the allocation of team members for this project. There will be a project manager whose role will be to choose the other members of the team and provide guidance. It is important that the atmosphere of the focus group fosters open communication and collaboration, and it will be up to the project manager to foster this learning environment. She or he will choose the other 6 members of the team based loosely on the roles of this resource plan and, more importantly, on team members' interest in the project. Including professionals from the Departments of Environmental Resources, Strategic Innovation, Administration, and Finance will create a well-rounded interdisciplinary team. Initial research conducted by the group should answer the following questions. What is the current success rate for forested wetland mitigation sites, and what is the success rate that's the target of this project? How much money do clients spend on reparations for failed sites, and how much does this project aim to cut that area of spending? In past mitigation projects, what has been the mortality rate of planted seedlings, and what conditions led to this mortality? Where were the seedlings acquired? What species were they? How old were they? And what were the ideal conditions for ensuring their survival? Resources for finding out this information will be determined by the group, but may include professionals from within or outside the company. Before moving to prototype development, the group will explore the current academic research to see what work has already been done on the subject and identify gaps in this research. The group will also consult with subject matter experts, including managers of the nurseries where the tree seedlings are acquired, and the companies which are hired to plant them in mitigation project sites. Areas of exploration for potential prototype improvements will also be determined by the focus group, but may include things like pruning methods, which make the tree seedlings more resilient to transplant shock, guards, which prevent grazing from herbivores, improved methods for keeping seedlings watered during their first few months in the ground, improved planting methods, compost, and remote monitoring techniques. Once a prototype improvement is developed by the group, a risk assessment will be used to evaluate feasibility and identify potential problems for each proposed prototype. If an improvement is found to be too expensive, too logistically unrealistic, or if it does not provide enough of an improvement, then the group will go back to research and development in order to work through these issues or pursue an alternative. Testing of prototypes will require more than one growing season of monitoring to ensure survival rates. Therefore, it is recommended that the professionals in the focus group work together to plan a schedule which allows the pursuit of this project while regular work is being carried out. Due to the extended required time frame, it would be a misallocation of resources to have members of the working group dedicated only to this project. But with a modest amount of overhead dedicated to the proposal, the group is likely to develop an improvement to the forested wetland mitigation process that would provide HGR with its competitive advantage. I hope you will consider the advantages that improving our wetland services would bring to our company as well as to the ecosystem. Thank you.